oh, if you go viral, that equals revenue. Maybe it's a step in the process, but again, we'll explore, is it really worth even trying to go viral?
Virality can be like that. If you get a viral video and it blows up and everyone loves it and it's making its way around the internet like crazy, does that mean there's going to be any longevity?
If you're trying to be funny and cute and it doesn't play well, that can hurt your business.
Hey y'all, a business posts a video. It gets 100,000 views and not a single new customer. Another business posts something simple, 300 views, and books 3 new clients. So what's actually working? My name is Ian Cantle from Dental Marketing Heroes, and I'm joined by Ken Tucker and Paul Barthel from Changescape Web, and Jeff Steck from Tylerica Marketing Systems. Welcome, guys.
Welcome.
Hey, Ian.
And today we're talking about one of the biggest marketing myths that is out there, at least the one I hear the most about. Maybe you guys do as well. So I'm excited about this topic. And the myth is that going viral on social media will grow your business. Because the truth is, attention doesn't equal customers. And for most small businesses, going viral is fool's gold. So let's jump in and explore this topic. And I'm going to start with Mr. Paul. So Paul, have you ever seen a business get a ton of views or engagement on social media, but it didn't translate into actual customers?
I think that's very common because someone watching your video, as you alluded to, it's a vanity metric. It's because if there's no engagement, somebody watches a video, big deal. They watched a video. They didn't engage with anything. So you might have an audience mismatch. Do you have a call to action in that video? Is there, and if you do, and someone engages with that video, do you have any kind of funnel or follow-up or anything like that? I mean, the answer to that is, it happens a lot. And it's usually just no engagement because there's no call to action. I think that's the most common thing.
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest idea that people have to get into their heads is that social media does not choose who to present your video to by finding your ideal customers or even geographically focusing them, right? It's spreading them according to the algorithm, which is interest-based. And so you could be getting a lot of views from overseas, in another country, in a different state or province that you actually don't serve. And so you may get lots of great views. It may be a wonderful vanity metric, but it's not going to actually bring in customers for your business.
Yeah, and that is kind of the issue with social media, videos on social media, like you just said. I mean, it's maybe you do business in Florida, and you have people in California watching your video. Are you going to drive to California if you're a roofer?
Paul, if you remember when we had Molly Mahoney on, she talked about a video that she had, I don't even remember how many millions of views, just blew up. She got nothing out of that, is
right.
What she told us, now, is there a residual benefit? Potentially, maybe her name, maybe people became aware of her because of that video where they didn't know her before, but that video directly did not convert a single client, even though it had over 1 million views.
Yeah. I know a local business as well, and they're in the horse-based business, like they do equine assisted learning. And the last time I spoke to this business owner, when Carlsberg stopped doing the Clydesdale commercials for the Super Bowl, like they used to every year have a Clydesdale commercial, and they were great. And people who love horses or that beer, they love those commercials. And so when they stopped doing that, this business owner actually had a Clydesdale. And so she filmed a video, she had it professionally produced, and it was fantastic. It was like this horse love story, and it got over 1.1 million views. And in talking with her, I was just, she was so proud of it, and she should be. Like, that's very cool from an exposure standpoint. But when I asked her, like, have you ever had an inquiry from this video or from kind of its halo exposure? And her answer was no inquiries and no customers, right? And so if that's your goal, which usually it is as businesses, right? Like we want to attract more ideal customers and actually make revenue because that's why the business exists, then it did not achieve that at all. And so going viral is a dangerous quest sometimes. Any other examples you guys have, or should I move on to the next question?
I just amplify, I think Paul said, I was at an event Tuesday night, 2 days ago, and talking to another marketer there who does a lot of social media, a lot of big social media, major corporate brand level social media. And he was talking about getting, I don't know, 100,000 views on a trades video, but it wasn't anywhere that would benefit that tradesperson. It was like totally out of market. And again, viral shouldn't be the goal. It shouldn't be the key. If you can get it, great. But to chase it, it's a pipe dream. And even if you get it, it may not help you. But yeah, I think we're going to keep going on this topic. It's a good one, but there's a lot of dimensions to it.
Awesome. So let's move on to the next question. This one's for you, Ken. Why do you think so many small business owners fall into the trap of chasing viral content?
Well, I think a couple of reasons. One is they see a video that they personally thought was interesting and fun, and they look at the total number of views that it got, and those views are impressive. So it's like, wow, how cool! If I just did some video, maybe I could do this. I think the other thing is, and this happens all the time, every time you go to a business networking event, or even a trade event where you're there for, like, as an example, the Painting Contractor Association. I can't tell you the number of times I sat around tables. There was always one painter that talked about how they were just blowing up social media and it became so viral and yada yada yada. And let me tell you that you can't predict virality. And it happens for every one person that says that they've gotten viral. And even in the world of marketing, all these people are bragging about all these results. If you look deeper beyond just the surface, there's nothing there. There's nothing there. So there are a lot of false, empty promises out there, basically all based on vanity metrics. So, it looks like it should be pretty easy to produce the kinds of videos sometimes that go viral. I think that sucks people in and they're like, oh, well, I could do that. You're constantly bombarded with content, and particularly if you're on TikTok, you're seeing all kinds of stuff that may be viral, but it doesn't move the needle in terms of, for most businesses, of increasing any sales. If you're an e-commerce business, maybe, if you have a product to sell online, maybe a big maybe. But for most small businesses, it's a deceptive thing, and there's actually some things that you need to do to even have a chance to be viral, which kind of takes you away from who your ideal customer is. So every small business that I have ever talked to has a limited budget, and usually a very tight budget on what they're willing to spend on marketing. And to get, and we'll probably circle around to this, but to get virality, you're not trying to talk to your ideal customers. And so you're spending a chunk of your marketing budget intentionally not trying to talk to your ideal customers. That's just craziness. You need to look at strategies and tactics that are going to deliver faster, better results. There's a way to try to achieve some virality, but again, it's a plan, and it's a much bigger effort than I think a lot of people realize.
Yeah, so
and I think one thing I would add is kind of pay attention to the, what's going viral. From my view anyway, it's not a lot of, stuff that is direct business, do business with me. I want to tell you about my product or service oriented. It's more entertainment oriented. It's more influencer oriented, fashion, food, products. As you said, if you can come up with a good strategy, a good storyboard, really, you need to tell a story. If you can tell a story through the video and through a series of videos, I think you have a much better chance. But it's cat videos. It's magicians. It's a lot of stuff that if you really dig into it, What it's all about is people trying to monetize their social media directly, monetize it through ads, monetize it, by growing and then having audiences that maybe they can retarget to, but it's very indiscriminate. And I think if you really start looking at the serious businesses that are using it for serious business purposes, the ones that may hit it are the ones that are going to be consciously thinking about, a story series approach to it. It's other than that, in my view, anyway, it's just a lot of entertainment more than anything.
Yeah, I think entertainment is the best business to try to become viral. I mean, this isn't a direct example, but there was a Punjabi rapper, I think, on Jimmy Fallon on the Tonight Show recently, and after that performance, I mean, all of a sudden there several million views of this video. Well, that's probably going to lead to some record sales and concert ticket sales and things like that. That doesn't really pertain. There's nothing equivalent to that for most small businesses that are out there. So, if you're entertainment driven, if you're lifestyle driven, you might have a better chance. But again, I think you have to be really careful about how you allocate your budget and don't fall into the trap that it's just going to happen just because you post a couple of videos, even if they're cleverly done.
Right.
I mean, I'll give you another example where we're doing some really cool, fun videos with aliens coming to New Mexico and sampling barbecue sauces for one of my clients, and people love the videos, but it's not driven any sales. Now it's getting brand visibility, it's getting their attention. Who knows? There's really no good way to measure how that may translate into purchases in store, because that's not digitally tracked. And they don't have their online store set up completely to go quite yet. So it may be doing them some good, but how do you know? The videos themselves, I wouldn't say that they're viral, but everybody who's seen them, thinks they're very fun and very clever and like them. But again, it's not, there's not that direct translation to cash for the business.
It's interesting when you were talking about that, Ken. The one thing that comes to mind is just our expectation when we hear that somebody goes viral on social media and it explodes their business in a positive way, right? Because it could go the other way. We've heard of other businesses where it's a negative thing. But from the positive side, right? If we look at the buyer's journey or the marketing hourglass, people have to know you in order to trust you, to try you. Sorry, know, like, trust, try, buy, repeat, and refer, right? So the know phase is the top of the funnel, and going viral could be very helpful, like what you're talking about, where it's exposure for a restaurant or a restaurant chain. That can be really helpful because the more people that get eyeballs on it, the more times they see it, and the more they relate good feelings with that company, right? That's at the very top. But I think a lot of us in the public think, oh, if you go viral, that equals revenue. And so, maybe it's a step in the process. But again, we'll explore, is it really worth even trying to go viral?
Well, and what's interesting, the examples that I think of from TikTok, the virality didn't help the person who did the video. It helped the artist that contributed the song that they were dancing to generate more sales for that particular artist. So, it didn't translate to any revenue for the person who actually created the video.
All right, Jeff, got a question for you. What's the biggest disconnect between going viral and actually growing your business? We've kind of alluded to this a little bit, but let's dig into this topic.
Yeah. Before I do that, let me say the biggest disconnect might be my internet connection in a minute. We've had a storm rolling through, and I just had a little, your connection is unstable flash on the screen. So if I drop, you guys can take it from here. I think we've been kind of talking about some of these things, and I was thinking of it, and then Ken even brought it up, the notion of music going, making a video go viral, and then everyone starts branching off of that. So it's good for the artist. It's not necessarily good for whatever the video is about. But I kind of liken going viral to a couple of different things. The first is a musical group having a one-hit wonder, right? Any decade, any era of music, you can find a band who had a really good, catchy sounding song that was a one-hit wonder, and then you never heard anything from them again. Virality can be like that. If you get a viral video and it blows up and everyone loves it and it's making its way around the internet like crazy, does that mean there's going to be any longevity? Does it have legs? Is it going to carry your business, forward? So that's one issue. And the other kind of analogy I thought of is pick any sport, any profession really, but going back to music or sports, being the home run leader. Everyone goes, oh, yeah, he's just hitting home runs. How hard can it be? Or, winning the Indy 500. Oh, he's just driving a left-hand circle for 250 laps. How hard can it be? Or 200 laps, whichever it is. But there's this pyramid, right? The people at the top are a very, very small number. And all the people that are trying to do it are a much larger number. And they've got, stars in their eyes and big dreams. So that doesn't mean they're going to achieve it. Sure, go for it. Take a shot. But that doesn't mean you're going to achieve it. But when you're talking about your business, taking it back to your question, the difference between going viral and actually building your business, you want to focus your attention, your energy on the things that are achievable. And we'd even argue incremental steps up. Before you can get to be a $10 million business, you got to be $1 million business. Before you get to $1 million business, you got to be a $100,000 business. Take those steps and grow in those stages and really have a solid strategy. I think the problem with virality, it's this big, sexy, lofty, oh, that'd be so cool goal. But does it tie into your strategy? Does it support the overall marketing of your business? Is it something you're going to put a lot of effort and a lot of attention into doing when that attention, that effort, and those funds could go someplace else? Those are the questions that business owners need to ask. And virality for virality's sake is not really meaningful. The whole notion of viruses, it's indiscriminate. It goes out and it affects everyone. So virality in the social media sense is used to describe it just blows up and everyone sees it. But do you need everyone to see it? Or are you better off focusing your efforts? And I think you alluded to that earlier. So when you look at, what does that mean in terms of marketing, in terms of marketing tactics, in terms of behaviors that people have and how you guide them down the know, like, trust, try, buy, repeat, refer hourglass, you've got to look at things like just getting attention versus intent. Getting attention is good if it's top of funnel, that no stage. That is a very broad net. Get out there, get a lot of people seeing it, and a few people will take the next step. But for a lot of businesses, that's not necessarily where they should start. You want to start with the higher intent things that will actually create revenue. The other problem with virality, I just mentioned, the whole notion of a virus is it infects indiscriminately. The same thing with viral social media. Just the algorithms will send it out to whoever they think will view it. They don't know whether that's your targeted audience or not, your intended audience. So if you can focus on your target audience, your intended audience, back to your intro, would you rather have 100,000 views or 300 views and 3 deals out of it? I think having the targeted audience that fits your ideal client profile is a much better place to focus attention on than intentionally trying to go viral. Some of the other things with viral videos, because they are just very broad, very awareness oriented typically, not always, but they probably don't have a good call to action. They're just, hey, look at me, look at what we can do. Isn't this cool? But there's no take this next step, move down the funnel. And that should be the goal of all marketing, would be to both weed out unqualified prospects or buyers from your process, and then nurture and move forward the qualified prospects. So the whole indiscriminate nature of there's no real buying signals involved. There's no good way to capture leads. There's no good way to move people into other portions of your funnel, to hit them with other tactics, makes going viral kind of, a great goal. If you can hit it, great, but don't focus on it when you really should be focusing on, intentionally and truly growing your business?
The two big ideas that popped out while you were talking there, or became clear to me. One was, and I see this all the time. I don't know if you guys see this, but Ken's keep your finger up, man. Come on, how am I going to remember
make sure it's
which
that
point
finger.
I'm on? So, point number one was that usually in the business, it's not even the owner who's driving the quest for going viral. So I'm going to use I know we're going to talk a little bit about dental and kind of local businesses later, but I see like the hygienists, the younger people that are in a practice, they're the ones that are like, hey, Dr. Smith, we need to do these crazy videos because it's going to make us go viral and we're going to get lots of patients. And the dentist is like, well, I guess I'll do whatever they're telling me because they're young and they're hip and they're going to, whatever. And then you talk to them and you bring kind of a strategic focus on marketing and they're like, oh, well, that does make sense, right? But what am I going to say to my people now? Because they really want to do these videos. And I think there's actually something to that as well. Like you guys talked about the entertainment aspect, but even just, the cohesiveness of your team, if it makes your team happy and that's part of your objective in your business, heck, 20 minutes of your time might make sense to do it, right? But the other...
I don't think there's anything wrong with being entertaining and having fun and playful. I mean, isn't one of your clients like a superhero? Does a superhero dentist kind of thing?
Yeah.
I mean, in some senses, that can kind of set you apart and differentiate and create some identity and create some recognition. But that's very different from let's just figure out how to go viral for being viral's sake.
Yeah.
Now that I've derailed you, what's the other thing?
No, but even it's like they don't even think about that aspect, like the why. It's just like, I guess we're going to do it. So be thoughtful about where you put your time, energy, and money. Point number two that popped out was just the disconnect of how people perceive social media from a personal versus a business standpoint, right? Everybody in your business, you yourself might use social media, right? So you have this idea that what works for personal, interpersonal kind of things, like what interests you on a certain level, will help drive business. And that's not true, right? Like we all know, we've been doing this for a long time, and we know that businesses are always at a disadvantage as far as how the algorithm works and how you're going to show up, to different people. But the other side of that too is that social media, it was like a stream, right? Your feed just goes by, and you pay attention to the posts that you're most interested in, the videos you're most interested in. Now, so that was essentially like a billboard on a 60-mile-per-hour road. Now, like we're all in, hypersonic jets flying this crazy highway, and whatever things you post, like they're in the rearview mirror within 3 hours a day. Like you are not putting any kind of foundational element together for your business when you do this kind of stuff. It's just gone, right? And the algorithms will not be bringing it up again. So those were my 2 points that were kind of fractured, and maybe 4 points. So Ken, would you say that viral content can actually hurt a business in some cases? And if so, how?
Oh yeah, sure. I mean, one is it can accidentally or inadvertently damage your reputation and your brand. If you're trying to be funny and cute and it doesn't play well, that can hurt your business. And look, that's not as easy to do as a lot of people think. So, I mean, you could create what you think is a really fun, clever, entertaining video that maybe shows off the personality of your brand. It could have a very adverse impact if you're not careful. I think sometimes people look at trying to do polarizing content as well, to gain views and chase this virality, when that may be detrimental to helping you really get to your ideal customer. It may turn off many of the ideal customers that you might have. And so you really need to think things through. If you do actually achieve some virality, and you know, for some businesses, that's not a big number. You know, I mean, it could be getting 500 views on a video that actually drives some results, but then it could be just a flood of traffic that you're not prepared to deal with. That's really not the right type of customer that you're looking for. It's going to lead to wasting time and resources. It could create frustrations where people may start to write negative comments about your business online. You may have content that, because of the virality and the nature of it, maybe it sets some false expectations or things that are very difficult for your business to deliver on, or maybe that you don't even really want to deliver on, and that was a completely unintended, uh, you know, consequence from the video. And last but not least, I mean, it just pulls you away from your real strategy. Look, video content is incredibly important for every business. Every business needs to have a video strategy, but chasing, this panacea of virality for virality's sake is not a strategy. As you said in the title, it's kind of fool's gold.
Yeah, I had a client that was a CPA, and one of his people who was younger than him wanted him to do TikTok videos. And when I dug into this a little bit more with her, the question was, well, why, right? And who are you trying to attract? And so she had some answers for that, right? She wanted to attract more younger clients for this guy, and so she said, and there's CPAs doing this now, and so we did a little bit of research, and we found out there was really one CPA in the whole country that was doing TikTok videos. And like, you can only imagine, they weren't entertainment, they were informational, so there was some helpfulness to them, but they weren't engaging. Like, when you go to TikTok, you do expect a certain level of mind-numbing entertainment in it, right? At least that's my experience. If it's not your experience, then forgive me, but it's like mind candy floss for me, right? If I spend any time on there, it's like, where did the time go? So,
Yeah.
There's examples of that out in the marketplace where, like, if we focus on the wrong audience in the wrong place at the wrong time, we're not going to do anything for our business.
Yeah. I mean, I know in the case of some painters, they basically, what they wound up doing was creating ASMR, because literally the short video was just somebody spraying paint on a wall back and forth. And, it's very mesmerizing, and a lot of people watched it. And for whatever reason, apparently that is a soothing, comforting thing for many people to want to watch. Had zero results for the business. I don't know that it caused any negative perception of that business, but it certainly, they think they're doing something cool.
Yeah.
And it's certainly fun, but they're probably spending a lot of time doing that when they could be doing other things that are going to move the needle a lot further and a lot faster.
Yeah. Some examples I've seen where it's like a car detailing company or a car wrapping company, or could even be a mechanic, like something like that, where they don't put a lot of effort into it. They just set up maybe two different cameras of different views, and they just go about their work. And because they talk out loud while they do their work, sometimes that kind of stuff can be very interesting. But the key thing about it is they're actually showing their expertise in what they're doing, right? Which is helpful.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, there's one kind of caution that popped into my head. There was a local concrete company that I saw one of their videos, and it was like, how to pour a patio or something like that. And I think they were hoping it would go viral. I don't know if it did, but it was like, yeah, you don't need any ground prep. Just go out there and mark out where you want it. Pour the concrete right over the soil and the grass. You don't have to kill the grass out. And rebar's for fools. It doesn't do anything, and it just costs you extra money. And then at the very end, they said, oh, by the way, this is an April Fool's video, but that's probably going to be watched on in July and August and November, and people are going to look at that and go, well, these guys don't know what they're doing. Stay away from them. So, trying to do something fun and cute and hope it would get a lot of attention could turn around tanking their business.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's one of the biggest dangers too is when you try to entertain or you try to make jokes or whatever, like you were saying, Ken, and you're a highly esteemed professional in something, like a financial advisor, a CPA, a dentist, a doctor, like you name it, something that where people put their life in trust to you in some way or another. And you most of your videos or some of your videos are joking around, being, making light of things, dancing. Like sometimes those can be entertaining, but I think you have to really consider, like, big businesses understand their brand message and understand this is our business persona that we're putting out there. And I don't think smaller businesses always take that as seriously, but they really need to, because you don't want to be taken out of context, and you don't want people to get the wrong impression of you that you don't take your job seriously. And of course we know that just because you do those things on social media doesn't mean that you're not very good at your job, but it can subconsciously put that thought into people's minds. I think that's why we never joke around about marketing.
Yeah.
All right. So, Paul, for local businesses like a dental practice, what matters more, 100,000 views or 10 new patient calls?
Yeah,
Softball.
This is called a softball pitch.
Everybody already answered this question. So my answer can be short. Obviously, it's 10 new potential patients, because you touched on this, Ian, when you talked about the algorithm. They want to keep you on their platform, so they don't care who watches your video or who they feed it up to. So the key phrase there is local business. How many of those 100,000 views were in the locality that you serve, or that your potential patients are going to see it? And probably very few, if any. Because when you think about 100,000 views on YouTube or TikTok, that's like really nothing in the whole scheme of things.
Especially TikTok, right? Where
Right.
it seems to bloat the numbers pretty quickly.
Yeah, exactly. And so local intent matters. And you and Ken, I think, touched on it, is that if you're in the financial or healthcare industries, trust is huge. I mean, it's like the number one thing. So you might want to be careful how cute you try to get, because it can destroy that trust. Just like what Jeff said about the concrete patio. If someone doesn't watch that till the end, and there's a very good chance that they don't, very few videos are watched till the end. And Jeff said that part about the April's Fool video was at the end. Like Jeff said, that could destroy their reputation, and it could do it quickly. And so I'm going to say someone didn't put a lot of thought into that, or why they were doing it. So you want quality over quantity. And like I said, local business, local intent matters. If everyone watching your videos on the other side of the country, that really doesn't help you very much, does it?
Yeah. The dental industry, I find, like, just chock full of this. And again, it's partially because of the structure of the industry, where you have a whole bunch of dental assistants, dental hygienists, office staff, and they're all socially plugged in. And so they see something going around in either the broader social media world or in the dental world. And then all of a sudden you see, like, every dentist doing the same thing, doing the shapes of instruments to music, doing, like, just all sorts of things. And some of them are really poorly chosen ideas. There was one where it was like an after work rave in one of the treatment rooms. And I just remember, I was working with this client at the time, and I was guiding them through. Part of my role was to give feedback about some of the social media stuff they were doing. And I remember it coming up, and immediately I was like, this is horrible. You have staff standing on the equipment in a treatment room. Like, what does that say to potential people, right? Potential patients. And then there was another one where they were doing suggestive dancing. And I was like, okay, like you guys really need to rein this in, or you're going to start to erode your brand because you have a wonderful brand name in the community you're in. So, yeah.
Yeah, just because everyone else is doing it doesn't mean you should.
You sound like my parents when I was a kid.
Yeah. But at the same time, leveraging some video content to show the personality of your business, when done well, can be a very powerful thing. But it has to be well thought out.
Be genuine.
And don't just react to what somebody else is doing, like you said, Ian, just because, 5 dentists are starting to, dance to, songs about, teeth or whatever. I don't know what they do, but, that doesn't mean that you have to, most of the time, I think you need to ask yourself, just because you can doesn't mean you should. I mean, that really is an important
like parental guidance going on right now.
But it's I mean, I worked in the world of software development. You can do all kinds of things. You can do all kinds of cool things with AI. You can do all kinds of things with video. It doesn't mean you should. It's like, what is the goal and the objective? What are you trying to accomplish by doing this? And are you prepared? Are you trying to measure the outcomes of what's going to result from what you're doing?
So I heard a few parental advices things there. If somebody else is doing it, don't do it because they're doing it. So if Tommy is sticking a pea up his nose, it doesn't mean you should. And then what was the other one was a good one too.
Just because you can doesn't mean you should.
And excellent, yeah, just excellent advice.
And if you need any corroboration, I just go watch Jurassic Park again.
I'm trying to remember the part you're talking about, Jeff.
Well, the whole premise, right? I think that was a Jeff Goldblum line. We got so wrapped up in the fact cloning. That we could do it that we didn't ask if we should do it.
Right.
All right. So, Jeff, next question. What are the signals that actually indicate marketing is working for a small business?
Yeah. So this, again, goes back to what we've been talking about, not just throughout this episode already, but, common theme through a lot of our episodes is what really matters is whatever you're doing contributing to the health and growth of the business. Is it bringing in the kind of leads that will buy from you? Is it contributing to revenue? So what are some indicators that it's not views, it's not likes, it's not shares? While those things may help you grow your audience in the broader sense, what really matters, the quick acid test indicators, if you will, are things like phone calls. And this is where attribution becomes important too, right? If the phone rings, you either need to have a tracking number on it so you know it came from some particular marketing campaign, or you need to ask people. That's probably the best because attribution's getting harder and harder, and a lot of the tracking numbers have been recycled and reassigned that there's just a lot of spam calls and misdirected calls. But I mean, not saying don't do it, but just, you gotta really put in the time and effort to make sure you get good attribution. But phone calls, form fills on your website. And again, is it any form fill? Is it, I see a lot of spam form. A lot of people, it's like, well, I can't get them on the phone. I can't get them on email. I know, I'll fill out the form on their website. I've got one client, we're getting 2-3 a day of those kind of things. But if you do the analysis, and you can even use AI to help here, export all your entries and take it into AI, you can look at it and see where did things come from? What times of day did they come from? But is the phone ringing? Are people engaging on your website, filling out the forms? The Google Analytics metrics on the website can help to a certain extent and help paint a broader picture as well. Are people booking appointments? What's that?
Now with GA4, that's worthless.
It's harder. I wouldn't say it's worthless. For those of you listening, ignore Paul. Don't take GA4 off your website.
I'm not saying they should.
But yeah, it has gotten a lot harder. And again, this is don't get me on a soapbox here. They made it better, right? It's like, why? You've made it harder to use. Okay. Anyway, but yeah, phone calls, engagement on the website, form fills, people hanging around on the website. Are they visiting multiple pages? Are they booking appointments if you've got a calendar scheduler widget? And you should, depending on your business. And then you start looking at the overall, where's the money going? How's the money flowing? And especially, again, attribution becomes important, but can you track the money you're spending on a given set of tactics and what's coming from those tactics? And you can help that balance out or dial up the ones that are working and maybe dial down the ones that aren't. So you look at things like cost per lead. You look at return on investment. And when I talk about cost per lead, you can do it at the overall business sense. We spent, $10,000 on marketing last month. We got 1,000 leads or $1 each, or $10 each. Or you can break it down to the per channel basis if you have that level of attribution. So again, the measurement and the metrics, as much as you can get, will help you really understand what's going on in the business, what's actually working. That's the question, right? What actually indicates marketing is working? So breaking your metrics down, looking at cost per lead, looking at return on investment, and then using that to make decisions, right? The goal isn't just to hit a set of numbers, it's to continually improve and adjust. And I can't tell you how many clients are like, well, this worked last year. It's not working this year. It's like, well, did you make the changes that the industry is dictating you should? Well, no, that's why I'm talking to you. Okay, here's what I want you to do. Well, do we really need? Yes, you do. Anyway, yeah, it's the, is your business growing? Are you getting more contacts? Are you getting more at-bats? Are you closing more deals? And for what it's costing you to do that. I mean, one way to double your number of leads is double your spend on what's working. Another way is to make what's working more efficient, more effective. But those are the things you got to look at, not just likes, views, going viral.
Yeah.
Yep.
All great points.
I think you mentioned cost per lead, and that you have to take that in context. If your average lifetime value of a customer is $5,000, and it costs you $400 to get that lead or to get that customer, I would say that's a win.
That's a win. Yep. But if you're, selling a $10 product and it costs you $10 to get the customer, it's not a win.
Exactly.
Yep. Absolutely
Context.
right, Paul.
Context.
All right. That leads well into kind of the next section, which is really talking about what works, right? So Paul, if not going after viral social media or other channels, what should small businesses focus on instead?
The same things we talk about every week.
What are those things?
Look, search intent. Google and now the LLMs, we've talked about this in the past. Google's still the 10,000-pound gorilla, but LLMs are growing fast. And if you wait until the LLMs have a huge share of search, and I think they will, and your competitors have been doing things, you're going to find yourself in a position where you might not be able to catch up. So search intent, SEO, and local visibility, SEO and AEO, whatever you want to call it, however you want to phrase it. But yeah, local visibility, conversion-focused websites, calls to action on your website. And being consistent with what you're doing, like Ken mentioned earlier, that, well, I'm not going to go right into that. Let's just say that there's a lot of businesses that think that they can, oh, well, hey, I'll do this SEO thing for a few months and then I check that box and I'm done and I don't have to worry about it anymore. No, it's not how it works.
Like turning off the power to your storefront, right?
Yeah, and SEO is, I say it all the time, it's a marathon, not a sprint. It's not a faucet. You can't just turn it on and off. You have to be consistent. And reviews and trust and authority and authoritative content. And keep in mind, to this day, because we're talking about videos and viral videos, the most watched videos on YouTube to this day are still how-to videos, informational type videos. And if you do that, if you put those out there and you have a call to action, that's going to do more for you than a video going viral because you're helping someone. And if you're consistent with that, there's a chance they're going to remember when they need something that they can't do themselves. Hey, I remember this company that had these how-to videos, and I think this is over my head, so I'm going to call them.
Paul,
Yeah,
you talked about local visibility, and
Yeah,
I just kind of
reviews,
wanted
Google
to,
Maps.
yeah, I want to dig into that a little more because I think there's even offline opportunities that a lot of businesses may be missing. And really, the broader expression of the offline local visibility is just being a good member of the community, right? If you're a small local business, you want to show up in the community. You want to be known in the community and not just have everything relying on your Google business profile. Chambers of commerce, sponsoring other community oriented events, getting your name on the back of the shirts of the Little League team. There's a lot of things that businesses can do outside of digital to show up in the overall community and therefore get local visibility out of it as well.
Yep, good point.
Yeah, and when I hear you guys talking, the one thing I think that, and I'll phrase this as a question instead of like suggesting what the answer is. So I'm curious to hear what you'll say. But you listed a whole bunch of things, Paul, that businesses should be doing, and Jeff, you added to them as well. If a lot of times I see businesses just doing these things ad hoc, how do you make sure that you bring a cohesiveness to all of this?
Strategy first, baby.
Another softball pitch.
Know your ideal client, right? Know where they get their information, know what matters to them, and then map your efforts onto that and cover all the bases.
Yeah. And that leads perfectly into the next question for Ken, which is how should social media fit into a real marketing system, Ken?
I told a small business owner they needed a stronger online presence. So they stood closer to their Wi-Fi router. Just to prove that
I feel like you've been waiting to tell this joke for a long time.
just to prove that we do joke about marketing on this podcast. But sadly, a lot of people don't really know what all needs to go into building a marketing system, and it needs to be a system. Otherwise, it is ad hoc. And in some cases, ad hoc may be okay. I mean, if your business is reliant on referrals and your referrals dry up, you go spend money on ads to fill up your pipeline, and that's all you can handle. Cool, that's great. But so many businesses need way, way, way more than that. And if you're more than a solopreneur, chances are you need to build a predictable system. Referrals, while they're an excellent source of great leads often, and those leads turn into customers, it's not enough. So just like everything, you have to put components together. And I think that's where social media really fits in the best. It's in a supporting role. You guys have talked about, the marketing hourglass of know, like, trust, try, buy, repeat, and refer. Social media can play a role in many of those stages, maybe all of those stages, really. But you think about where it's most powerful. I mean, the goal of creating some video content sometimes is just there's a new opportunity for discoverability with video content on social that has not existed for businesses for a very long time. They've changed their algorithms due to TikTok. Even LinkedIn has done this now, where you put video content out there as a reel or a short, YouTube short or whatnot. It's presenting that information to people based on their interests, not whether or not they have a follow or a like relationship with your business. So from that perspective, there's a little bit more discoverability, but it's a supporting role. It's not buyer intent. Many times now you can build funnels from video content that move people from awareness to consideration to conversion, another way to look at the marketing hourglass. But again, it has to be done by design, and chances are the video content alone is not enough to make that happen. You've got to have an omnichannel approach. We've talked about it so many times. I mean, it really should be the subtitle of our podcast. Omnichannel marketing is crucial to your business's survival. It really is absolutely the case. Social media, can be great for trust building. If you get a strong Google review, post about it on social media or turn it into a nice video reel that highlights customer quotes that really extract and highlight your differentiators of why you're different from your competitors. That's a great way to do it. But again, that's it's awareness, it's trust, but it's not buy at that point. Um, you can use social media very effectively to get people to, cast a broader audience, and then you can retarget to them from the social media views and how far they watched into videos, for example, to get them to take next steps, to not just be aware of you and say, oh yeah, that's kind of a cool, fun video, and I watched it halfway through. Okay, now I'm in a retargeting audience. Now I can run an ad on, Facebook, Instagram, whatever, that maybe tries to get people to move, from just, hey, you thought this was fun. Now are you ready to make it your reality and have a call to action and try to drive them to take some action? You can do that, but that's almost never done without design. Small businesses, they focus on the front piece and they never do the back end work. You've got to nurture people to the point where they're ready to make a buying decision. Most businesses don't have the luxury of people making a snap decision. Some businesses do. Like my barbecue sauce customer. If you catch people at the exact right time when they're watching a video on social media and they're thinking, what are we going to make for dinner tonight? I got to go to the grocery store anyway. Okay, great. Maybe that's perfect timing that's going to get that. But how many times have people watched that where it's not the perfect timing? You've got to have an integrated omni-channel approach, and social media it's an important element to support most of the channels and most of the activities that are going on. For most small businesses, it's kind of necessary, but it's not sufficient.
Yeah, it's like you have to be involved. Just Jeff, I think, was talking about being involved in the community, right? It gives you community visibility, especially for local businesses. And I think it's important just like showing up to physical, venues or events in your community can be really valuable because you're getting FaceTime with people in the community. Same thing with social media. All right, Mr. Jeff. Is there ever a scenario where going viral actually does help a small business? I think we've kind of, broached this a little bit, but just as we're getting near the end of the podcast, talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I think we've talked about a lot of the reasons why it may not be great, and could potentially even hurt you. But yeah, it can help. Again, it depends on the type of business, right? If your business is being an influencer, if your business is monetizing social media, monetizing, YouTube, then yeah, it's actually going to help you a lot, right? But from a more practical business, our audience point of view, I think the broader your geography that you work in, a national brand is going to capitalize a lot more on going viral than a local plumber would. For a lot of the reasons we talked about. So I think if you're a national brand, if you're a product brand, if you're, the type of thing where you're looking for awareness, and the repetitions that go with seeing something a bunch of times and, oh, that video is great, I want to go watch it again. And they show it to their friend and let me look over your shoulder while you watch it. And, it's that repetition and awareness can help. But again, it's got to be done carefully because the analogy I use is Super Bowl. Sorry, I can't say that word. The big football game that the NFL puts on every year. How much money do businesses spend on those ads, and then how many of them are really identifiable to the business? There's a lot of them that get talked about. They get mentioned, and but then you go, yeah, well, what company was that? Oh, I don't know. I just remember you mentioned the Clydesdales earlier. Yeah, no, I don't remember. I just remember the horses playing football. I can't remember which company it was. So, you've got to be careful with it. You've got to use it appropriately. But if you're a big national brand, if you're doing a product marketing where you want awareness, if you want people talking about it, and you can then get them to tie that back to your brand, it can help a lot. On a viral audience, some portion of that population is going to be probably your target market. If you're giving them a strong action to take next, go visit our website, go do whatever, or, here's an offer, mention this offer and you'll get whatever. I think that's going to help a lot more. And, it's got to be part of the overall system, as Ken was talking about. You got to, bring them into the omnichannel marketing, use the viral video to get their attention, to bring them someplace else where you can then work on them. So, I mean, can it be helpful for a business? Yes. I think a truly small business, maybe tangentially, but not in and of itself. If you get a national audience talking about a local plumber, maybe one or two of those people are going to be local. But again, I think it's a goal that people chase. It's a vanity, it feeds their ego, but it's not the best use of, marketing budget and marketing effort to plan for being viral.
And the next question is for Ken and Paula. I'm sorry I messed up the back and forth rotation here, but we have another question after this that's open to everyone. So, Ken, what would you say to a business owner who says, "I just want to go viral"?
I'd say so does the flu, but neither one builds a long-term growth strategy. Thank you,
Yeah.
ChatGPT.
Yeah.
But seriously, we got to bring some levity to this wonderful topic, right? Because we're kind of Debbie Downers here so far. What happens after you become viral? Just because you create a viral video, is that creating the outcome that you want? What are you really trying to accomplish? That's really the more important question. And then focus on the strategy that you need to create to be able to achieve the important outcomes. Virality is, it could be an outcome, but it's not a valuable outcome. Virality, what's more important is, unless your goal is literally just to get more eyeballs on something, which is usually not a money-making endeavor for a small business. You need to tie it back to meaningful outcomes, like increased number of phone calls, higher customer conversions, higher customer retention rates, things like that. You want to focus on predictable growth. That's a much better, steadier, stronger not really strategy, but a model to build your business around is having a predictable growth system built around doing all of the right things that you need to do to have that omni-channel marketing presence. And so, the thing I love about systems, Ian, is it creates force multiplication. Mm-hmm. So
can you? Go ahead.
Well, yeah. It's like if you're a one-trick pony, that's eventually that's probably going to fall flat. You've got to be everywhere your customers are potentially looking at, and right now, probably the single biggest thing that most small businesses are not taking advantage of is proper content distribution, getting quality content that represents their business authoritatively and with the expertise that they have across multiple channels being mentioned by multiple websites that support the content that you have on your website and is consistent with that. And it's hard to do if all you're ever doing is just popping out videos on your own social media channels. You're not breaking outside of that. And in order to be able to increase your visibility, you can't, I won't say 100% of the time, because there will always be the exception to the rule, but the overwhelming majority of businesses cannot generate enough traffic solely just through the pure channels that they do. They have to rely on external sources to provide links and build trust and build links and brand mentions so that the search engines say, this is a trustworthy business that I see from multiple places and multiple channels across the web.
And the LLMs will probably never find you if you don't.
Right.
I wanted to jump on your what happens afterward comment, because I think there's two aspects of that. One is once people see your video, what do you have them do? But there's also the what does it mean for you as a business? And that whole notion of being, is that your Zoom in and out, Ian? The whole notion of okay, now we've gone viral. Now what? You don't want to be the one hit wonder business. You want to build up a body of work that's consistent, that represents you and elevates your brand. And if you think going viral is hard to do, imagine going viral every month. How hard is that, right? Now, that said, if you've got some number of viewers and you spike way up because you've gone viral and you don't do anything else, it's going to come back down. You may not come back down as low as you were. You may stay a little bit higher, but it's going to come back down. So it's a very short-term effect. It's very hard to sustain. It's hard to do, and it's even harder to sustain. So is that something you should be making plans for?
Yeah, and I've never ever had a prospect or one of my clients ever say, my goal is to be popular on social media. My goal is to go viral. It's never that. It's always, I want to grow my business. I want more revenue. I want more profit. I want more high quality leads that turn into customers, clients, or patients, right? Those are kind of the key ones I hear the most. And then there's some trickle down ones, but it's never to go viral. It's never to be popular. It's, if those things can help them achieve those goals, fantastic. Yeah.
Unless you're an influencer. If you're an influencer, that's the goal.
Jeff, that's that's such a key point, because the noisiest people that are influencing businesses are the influencers. They see influencers doing really, really well, and they think, oh, I want to be Gary V for dentistry or CPAs or roofing, or, and that's who they're listening to. But they're in radically different environments. They're in radically different businesses, and their goals are radically different, right? That is the noise that many, many business owners are hearing. All right, last question. And this is open to everyone. What's one mindset shift business owners need to make when it comes to social media?
It's not a silver bullet. And if you're a local business, it should not be your main strategy. Like Ken, I think it was Ken said earlier, it should be supporting. It's going to play a supporting role. And that's probably all it's ever going to do for a local business.
Such a good point, Paul.
Yeah. I'd say it's think of using it in terms of communities and building a community. And that's a natural plug for what I think is going to be our next topic, unless we shuffle it up, which is, communities versus audiences.
And I would just say, take social media for what it's really good at, which is maybe brand awareness and visibility, but it's not a conversion channel, and don't expect it to be. And that's the problem. I think people think virality is a high conversion rate. And even if you get, 1,000 viewers on a video, surely, 5 or 10 of those are going to turn into customers. That's not the strength of social media. It's an interruptive channel, right? I mean, when you're on social media, you're not thinking, oh, I need to go I need to go hire a plumber today. And then all of a sudden you see a plumber video and it's like, okay, I'm calling right away. That doesn't usually happen. There are businesses that it works better for others, but it's really top of, it's the top of the funnel, or the top of the hourglass, if you will, where it's best at, especially know and like. Building community is a great example of, that like aspect of social. It could also work pretty well on the bottom end for repeat and refer, because you can stay top of mind, which is going to help to trigger people to maybe come back and do repeat purchases, especially if you're in a type of business like a restaurant, where there is everybody always needs to eat. And so if they see your content on social, maybe that's going to be the thing that's going to drive them to come to your restaurant that day. But again, it's hard to quantify that and measure that, because that's not an online trackable kind of a thing. And unless, when you're at a restaurant, it's going to be hard for you to say, why did you come in today? Oh, I saw your post on Facebook today. Some people will tell you that. Some people, hopefully you're too busy to be able to ask that question at a restaurant.
Yeah.
Well, and a lot of times when a business asks, how'd you find us? You know what the number one answer is to that question?
Google.
No, I found you online. Google's number two.
Oh, just general online. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, okay, that's completely worthless.
Yeah, one big thought too, I think that people need to hear and remember is that social media is not a distribution channel. It is to some degree, but many businesses treat it like a distribution channel, and they totally miss out or forget about the social network. This is people, and you have an opportunity to connect with them, and then it's your interaction with them that can actually build relationships and build bridges. And it's not so much about lobbing out videos all the time that you think are going to go viral. So stop the random acts of marketing and be strategic and use the channels the way that you can do it successfully. This is great. You guys covered this topic really well. Thanks for your contributions, Ken, Paul, Jeff. Fantastic insights. Thank you to our listeners for listening, for joining in, for watching this video. Don't forget to subscribe, smash that subscribe button, share it with your friends and your family and your colleagues and business owners who you think can get value out of this. And be sure to check out all of our other episodes. Do a search through our episodes, because chances are we've been doing this for a while now. We have topics that you are hungry for and might be top of mind with you that you can get some real value out of. So until next week, folks, keep calm and market on.